I woke up one morning and felt the air shift in my spirit. It was a quiet, yet heavy with glory, like the stillness that comes before a storm. And the Lord whispered to me, I am about to shock you with my favor. The moment he said it, something inside me trembled. I felt the weight of unseen movement. Heaven was organizing what earth could not understand. I knew this wasn't just another promise. It was an announcement, the kind that breaks delay and dismantles impossibility. I could almost hear the rustle of angelic wings preparing the path ahead. There are moments when the Spirit of God walks into your atmosphere and even the air knows his arrival. That morning was one of those moments. I sat in silence, unable to speak, feeling his words vibrate through my bones. He said, you have been through the fire, but the fire was not for destruction. It was for refinement. You have walked through nights where no light could be found, yet I was there shaping your faith in the dark. And I began to weep because I understood this is how heaven operates. He breaks before he builds. He shakes before he settles. For years, I had thought the silence meant absence, but I learned that silence is strategy. God was never still. He was setting the stage for sudden favor. Many of you don't see it yet, but you're standing on the edge of a divine eruption. I felt him rearranging my life, taking what was ordinary and infusing it with the extraordinary. He said, I allow the stillness not to stop you, but to stabilize you. I hid you, not to punish you, but to protect you. Because when I reveal you, it will not be subtle, it will be shocking. The Lord reminded me of Joseph. One day he was forgotten in prison. The next, he was standing in Pharaoh's court, wearing the ring of authority. That's what divine favor looks like. It's sudden, it's unexplainable. It's the kind that makes people say, how did this happen? And your only answer is, it was God. I remember the word that says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And suddenly, peace found me again. I walked outside and felt the wind press against my face, gentle but powerful, like an unseen hand confirming the word. He spoke again, tell my people that favor is not a rumor, it's reality. But before I release it, I must test the foundation, because I cannot pour glory into a vessel that leaks. I understood then that every season of waiting, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer had been strengthening the walls of my soul. God was building capacity. And when heaven built, it always built for overflow. There were times I thought I was being buried, but I was being planted. I thought the darkness meant defeat, but it was divine incubation. The seed must be hidden before it blooms. I spoke to God, and he whispered back, do not despise the seasons where nothing seems to move. That's when I'm doing my most creative work. And in that moment, revelation broke open in me. The invisible was louder than the visible. Heaven was closer than I thought. I felt a deep stirring, a knowing that the long wait was not wasted. God never lets faith expire. The prayers you prayed years ago are not forgotten. They are stored like seeds in the soil of divine timing. And when the rain of favor begins to fall, everything buried in obedience starts to rise. Some of you have cried in secret, watered your faith with tears, wondering if God noticed. He did. Every tear was a transaction in heaven. Every act of kindness, every hidden moment of integrity, every silent yes to God, He recorded it. And now He's saying it's a harvest time. The Spirit of the Lord began to move through me like a fire. He said, tell them I am not done. Tell them my timing has not failed. Tell them I'm about to surprise them in ways they cannot imagine. I could see visions in my mind, doors opening where there were only walls, contracts signed in places where rejection had lived, relationships restored, bodies healed, destinies reactivated. It was as if heaven itself had leaned down to kiss the earth. When God favors you, He doesn't need to ask for permission. He doesn't consult committees or systems. His favor overrides every rule. That's why some of you will be promoted in environments that try to overlook you. You'll be chosen by people who once rejected you. You'll be blessed in places others said you didn't belong. Because when heaven speaks your name, earth must respond. The Lord told me, I am speaking their names right now in rooms they've never entered. And I felt the trembling of destiny being rearranged. You have been faithful in obscurity. You have prayed when no one saw. You've given when no one thanked you. You've remained standing when others fell, and heaven took note. The same God who watches the sparrow fall has been watching you. He's about to turn your private faith into public favor. The season of hidden tears is about to become the season of visible testimony. God said, I will reward the ones who waited well. I remember when I questioned God about the delays in my own life. I said, Lord, why so long? And He answered, because I'm not preparing the blessing, I'm preparing you. That truth pierced me. We think we are waiting on God, but often He's waiting on us to mature into the measure of what He wants to release. If He gave it too soon, it would crush us. But when the vessel is ready, He pours without a limit. He showed me a vision, a dam holding back a river. The water was pressing, rising, straining against the barrier. It looked like nothing was happening, but underground pressure was building. Then suddenly, in one divine moment, the wall gave way. The water exploded through the land, flooding everything in its path. And God said, that's what my favor looks like when the time is right. It doesn't trickle. It floods. It overtakes. It shocks. I tell you now, as one who has walked through both famine and fullness, God never wastes a waiting season. Every delay is divine choreography. He knows exactly when to move. He's never early, never late, always on time, His time. And when His time collides with your faith, miracles manifest. He does in one day what years of striving could not accomplish. That's what's about to happen. I feel a holy urgency in my spirit even as I speak this. Heaven is aligning circumstances right now. Angels are moving with assignments that carry your name. People are being positioned to favor you without even knowing why. Some of them will wake up one morning and feel compelled to call you, to help you, to bless you. That's divine favor in motion. You won't have to chase it. It will chase you. But the Spirit also said, tell them prepare their hearts, because favor without foundation can become pride. The blessing is meant to draw you closer, not distract you. God wants the increase to expand your worship, not your ego. When the favor arrives, remember who opened the door. Gratitude protects what pride destroys. The higher you rise, the lower your heart must bow. There is someone reading these words right now who feels forgotten. You've been faithful for years, serving, praying, giving, believing, yet nothing has shifted. Hear me. You are not forgotten. You are being hidden until the right moment. God hides His treasures because exposure too early invites attack. When He reveals you, it will be in strength, not weakness. The waiting has been protection. I once asked the Lord, why do you allow pain before promotion? And He said, because pain purifies the vessel, it ensures the glory won't destroy what I'm building. That's why some of you had to walk alone. That's why certain doors closed. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God removed what couldn't go with you. Every goodbye was divine surgery. Every loss was sacred preparation. And soon, you'll see it, the favor that makes all the waiting worth it. He reminded me of the word. No good thing will He withhold from those who walk uprightly. I began to see how faithful He had been all along. Even when it felt like He was silent, He was speaking through circumstances. Even when it looked like nothing was moving, He was rearranging everything. I realized the hand of God never stops moving, even when His voice seems still. The Lord whispered, I am aligning the unseen with the seen. I am orchestrating encounters that will confirm my word. I am releasing provision that has been held back until now. Tell my people not to faint in the waiting, for their hour of visitation is near. And as He spoke, I saw light break through clouds. Brilliant, unstoppable light like a sunrise after years of night. I felt a surge of boldness rise within me. I said, Lord, What do I tell them? And he answered, tell them this is not chaos. This is a divine reordering. Tell them I am shaking everything that can be shaken so that only what is eternal will remain. I am building faith that cannot be broken. I am preparing hearts that can hold heavy favor. So if you find yourself in a place that feels unstable, rejoice, because God is reordering your foundations. He's tearing down what was built on fear so he can rebuild it on faith. He's removing what was temporary so he can establish what is eternal. When heaven starts moving, everything in you must shift. Don't resist it. Flow with it. This is how transformation begins. You are closer than you think. The darkness around you is not a sign of defeat. It's the shadow that appears before dawn. You are standing in the hour before the breakthrough. And when it comes, it won't come quietly. It will come with the evidence. The favor of God will announce itself through you. You won't have to prove it. You'll carry it. It will show in your peace, in your countenance, in the way everything starts to align without explanation. I can feel the atmosphere of heaven pressing against time. Something is about to break open, not by your effort, not by your connections, but by divine command. God said, I'm about to shock you with my favor. And when he shocks, he doesn't warn, he manifests. Suddenly, the barren will bloom. Suddenly, the closed will open. Suddenly, the forgotten will be remembered. So stand firm. Don't quit now. Don't let your faith expire before your miracle arrives. The same God who sustained you in the valley is about to elevate you on the mountain. And when he does, you'll say, now I understand why I had to go through that. Every tear was a seed. Every silence was a setup. Every delay was divine timing. You are not waiting anymore. You are ripening. And heaven is saying, it's time. That night I could not sleep. The presence of God lingered like electricity in the air. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see flashes of gold light bursting through clouds, as if heaven were rehearsing the moment of release. The Lord said, when my favor moves, it does not crawl, it leaps. I felt that word strike my chest like thunder. I realized the next shift will not be gradual. It will be sudden, the kind that leaves your mind scrambling to catch up with what your spirit already knows. I walked to the window and whispered, Lord, what does it look like when you shock someone with a favor? And he answered, it looks like Lazarus walking out of the tomb. It looks like Esther rising from obscurity to sit beside a king. It looks like Peter pulling in nets so full that the boat begins to sink. I trembled because every example he gave had the one thing in common: impossibility. God loves to start where logic ends. That is where his glory can breathe. He reminded me of the word that says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, neither has it entered the heart of man the things that God has prepared for those who love him. I realized favor is never small. It shocks because it carries heaven's scale. When it appears, it breaks human measurement. I felt him say, tell them to enlarge their expectation. The vessel of faith must expand before the oil of favor can flow. So I began to pray differently. I stopped asking God for what seemed reasonable and started thanking Him for what seemed impossible. Faith is the language that opens the gates of divine favor. When you worship in the dark, heaven hears you in stereo. The sound of trust reverberates in the throne room. That is why Paul and Silas sang in prison, because worship is a weapon that unlocks chains. And the Lord said, tell my people, I have seen their midnight praise. He showed me a vision of believers standing in small rooms, tears falling on their Bibles, hands lifted though weary. Angels stood around them, writing every moment down. God said, none of this is wasted. The midnight songs are becoming morning miracles. I felt heat flow through my body. This was not just encouragement, it was a decree. Sometimes the Spirit makes me see time differently. It's as though past, present, and future collapse into one heartbeat of God. In that heartbeat, I saw years of disappointment turning into minutes of deliverance. People who had been waiting for decades suddenly stepping into fulfillment. And the Lord said, when my clock strikes, delay dissolves. His timing is precise. His calendar cannot be hacked. Then he says something that pierced me. The shock of my favor will not only lift you, it will expose the motives around you. I understood. Favor is light, and light reveals what darkness hid. Some will celebrate your rise, others will recoil from it. Do not mourn those who leave when favor comes. They were never assigned to your future. God removes what cannot handle your promotion. He prunes not to hurt, but to multiply. The pain of separation is proof of coming expansion. I remember the word that says, every branch that bears fruit, He prunes, that it may bear more. And I whisper, Lord, prune me again, because I would rather be cut by His hand than comforted by complacency. He breaks before He builds. He shakes before He settles. That night, I felt Him rearranging my life again, pulling roots from old soil, making room for new growth. There was a moment when I cried out, but God, it hurts. And He answered softly, pain is the doorway to purpose. Endure the cut, for soon you will carry the crown. Then I saw in my spirit a field of wheat bending under the wind, golden and ready for harvest. The Lord said, the season of bending is ending. Now comes the season of gathering. Many of you have been bent by pressure, financial strain, broken relationship, sickness, betrayal. But bending is not breaking. You are about to stand upright again, carrying bundles of blessing in your arms. The drought is over. The clouds of favor are forming. You may not hear thunder yet, but the moisture of mercy is already in the air. God never sends a cloud. He doesn't intend to rain. Then he showed me the story of Elijah. The prophet told his servant, "Go again and look toward the sea." 6 times the servant saw nothing. On the 7th, he saw a small cloud the size of a man's hand. And the Spirit said, "That's what my people are about to see, something small that carries something massive. A tiny sign, a small opportunity, one phone call, one meeting, and suddenly the sky will be black with abundance." I felt compelled to declare, "Do not despise the small cloud. Celebrate it. The rain follows recognition." When you thank God for little beginnings, you invite big endings. Gratitude is the magnet of favor. The Lord said, "Many miss the miracle because they ignored the seed. But you, yes, you reading this will not miss it. You will discern the small shift that signals the great outpouring." The more he spoke, the more my spirit burned. I could sense an army of believers being awakened across the earth, people who refused to let circumstances silence their faith. Heaven was gathering momentum, and I could almost hear the rhythm of destiny, like drums in the distance. God said, "I am marching into your timeline. I am invading your impossibility." Suddenly, I saw the face of Jesus in my spirit. His eyes were fire, yet filled with compassion. He said, "Tell them I have not forgotten the covenant of grace. My favor is still stronger than their failure." I broke down weeping because favor is not earned, it's inherited through the blood. The cross was the down payment. Resurrection was the receipt. We walk in favor not because we are flawless, but because He is faithful. The Spirit continued. Some of them think they have disqualified themselves. Tell them, "I don't revoke callings, I redeem them." The same Peter who denied me became the preacher of Pentecost. The same Jacob who deceived became Israel, the prince with God. I specialize in shocking the unworthy with grace. When he said that, I felt mercy flood the room. Shame lost its voice. Fear evaporated. Favor entered like a sunrise through open curtains. And then I understood something deeper. Favor is not a decoration, it's a weapon. It fights battles you never see. It goes ahead of you into meetings, into hearts, into decisions. It speaks when you cannot. The Lord said, "My favor will defend you where your words fail." I saw courtrooms, offices, families, places where people had been falsely judged, and the hand of God reversing verdicts. The scripture came alive. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That table is the table of favor. He said, "When I shock you with favor, you will not have to argue your case. The blessing will be your evidence." I saw people walking into new jobs they never applied for, healed from diseases doctors couldn't explain, receiving messages of reconciliation from those who once rejected them. It was a wave after wave of divine intervention. But then his tone became serious. Favor is also stewardship. He said, "What you do with it determines whether it multiplies or withers. Use it to serve, not to shine. Use it to lift, not to boast. I nodded through tears, because the greater the favor, the greater the humility required to carry it. Moses' face shone with glory, but he covered it with a veil, not to hide pride, but to protect the people from being blinded. True favor glows quietly. The night deepened, and I could hear distant thunder, real thunder this time. Rain began to fall against the window, and I laughed through my tears. The Lord said, "See, even creation confirms my word." The rain you hear outside is the prophecy you feel inside. I stretched out my hands and whispered, "Let it fall, Lord. Let it fall on every weary soul waiting for you." And he replied, "It's already begun." By morning, the rain had stopped, but the fragrance of it still filled the air. I walked outside and saw the sunlight breaking through the clouds like hands parting a curtain. And the Spirit said, "This is how quickly I turned darkness into dawn." I stood there in awe. The street glistened with tiny rivers of light, and I knew the vision was more than weather, it was a revelation. Favor does not announce itself with thunder every time it arrives with evidence of life. The soul of your struggle is now soaked with divine purpose. I felt him say, "The shock of my favor will not end with blessing. It will end with a transformation." God never blesses you to make you comfortable. He blesses you to make you useful. He favors you so you can become a doorway for others. The Spirit whispered, "The miracle I give you will multiply through you." And I began to understand that favor is generational. It travels through the bloodline of obedience. One act of faith can shift an entire family's future. Abraham believed. And every believer still walks in that echo. So I prayed, "Lord, don't just favor me. Favor everything connected to me. Let my children, my friends, my city feel the overflow." And he replied, "That's already my plan. My favor is contagious." When God touches one life, everyone nearby feels the ripple. That's why you've been isolated for a season. He had to set you apart before he made you a fountain. He doesn't pour new wine into old skins. Now that your heart has been renewed, he can fill it to overflow. I thought of David. One day, he was tending sheep. The next, he was anointed king. No application, no campaign, just a divine appointment. That's how quickly God works when his moment arrives. And I heard the Lord say, "For many, this is that moment." The same Spirit that found David in the field is about to find you where you are. You don't have to chase destiny. Destiny is already running towards you. The oil has your name on it. The crown already fits your head. You only need to keep your heart ready. He said, "Tell them I am turning hidden ones into headlines." Heaven delights in taking the overlooked and making them undeniable. The world crowns talent. God crowns trust. And those who trusted him in secret are about to shine in public, not for applause, but for proof that God keeps his word. I saw doors flinging open, stages being set, names being mentioned in conversations that shaped nations. But above it all, I saw humility, the kind that bows low even while standing high. Then he said something that broke me completely. The greatest shock of my favor is not what I give you, it's how I stay with you. Presence is the ultimate proof of favor. Without it, blessings become burdens. With it, even lack feels full. The Lord said, my favor will rest upon you like a mantle. It will go where you go, work where you work, breathe where you breathe. And I knew that meant divine companionship, Emmanuel. In every moment, I began to see people walking through doors, glowing with the light, their faces shining with the peace. They carried no fear, only quiet authority. The atmosphere around them changed the rooms. Hopeless hearts revived just by standing near them. That's what favor does it. Radiates. It doesn't shout, it shines. The Lord said, these are my ambassadors of grace. Through them, the world will know that I am still alive, still active, still merciful. Then I heard him say one final time, firm and tender, I am about to shock you with my favor. It echoed through me like a song. I looked up and said, Lord, let me never forget you in the abundance you're sending. And he answered, if you keep your hands open, I will keep them full. Favor is meant to flow, not to be hoarded. Rivers dry up when they stop moving. The blessing that blesses others never runs out. So here is the word I leave with you now. Prepare, expect, believe. Heaven has already signed the order. The delays were divine edits, but the story is ready for release. You have cried enough, waited enough, endured enough. The tide is turning, the wind is shifting, and the same God who kept you in the valley is lifting you to the mountaintop. This is not wishful thinking. This is a prophetic timing. The favor of God is in motion. And when it manifests, it will not just lift your life, it will rewrite your legacy. You will look back and say, truly, the Lord has done great things for me. The world will look at you and see living evidence that faith is never wasted. You will walk in rooms you once only prayed about. You will breathe peace where you once breathed panic. And every scar will become a sermon of grace. The storm that threatened to drown you will be the same storm that delivers you to your destination. The walls that kept you out will become the platforms that lift you up. Every no you received was heaven protecting you from less than what was promised. Now, as this chapter closes and the next opens, remember this truth written in eternal ink. Favor is not a season, it is a covenant. The covenant stands, the favor is active, and the shock is near. Lift your head, for your Redeemer draws near. Heaven is smiling, earth is responding. The miracle is already moving toward you. I felt him rearranging my life. I spoke to God, and He whispered back. He breaks before He builds. He shakes before He settles. I thought I was being buried, but I was being planted. When heaven starts moving, everything in me must shift. This is not chaos. This is divine reordering. And soon, you will say, God shocked me with His favor